Hey my fellow golf ball addicts, welcome back to the channel. I have another golf ball review for you today, and this is one that a lot of you have been asking for a very long time. Honestly, it's way overdue. I apologize it's been so long, but here we finally are, the Srixon Soft Feel. So on my channel, I've actually reviewed pretty much almost every Srixon ball they've made. I've done the Tour line, I've done the Q-Star Tour, I've done the Q-Star Divide. I've done a lot of them, and to be honest with you, the one I've gotten the most requests for is probably this one, which is the Srixon Soft Feel. It's at a great price point. It's in that two-piece range. It's supposed to be very forgiving, very soft, and a lot of you seem to like it a lot. So let's dive in. Okay, so Srixon's a golf company I really love. Every product I've tested from them, I haven't had a dud yet. I don't expect to have one here, but you never know. So we are going to test it. We'll start, of course, with the basics here. We know everything about Srixon we need to know. So let's just dive into the looks of the golf ball, the design. Srixon has their normal logo on the front there with the underline S. It's an okay logo. It's not my favorite. And honestly, Srixon's such a weird name anyway. A lot of people mispronounce it, but hey, what are you going to do? This one actually has a green number there. As you can see, that's kind of how you can tell the soft feel just by looking at it at first glance. And then overall, actually the ball doesn't look very cheap. A lot of the time with these two-piece golf balls, they'll be more of a plasticky cover on the outside, and that's what this one is. It is plastic, but they've actually done a really good job of shaping it up and making it look pretty good. So I gotta say, I'm really impressed with that. Coming around to the side here, if you'll look, this is a very basic alignment tool, but this does the job. I'm kind of a snob for alignment tools. I definitely want my ball to have a decent one, and this one, although it isn't perfect, it's better than it used to be, and they did that nice thick line. A lot of people are getting really creative. Companies are doing, the 360 and the, triple track all the way around. They're getting really creative with it. I don't require that in my review, but it's nice to have the nice thick line, at least something to view, and you can definitely even see it from there. It's bold enough to see, so it should be able to align your ball really well. This golf ball is going to come in at a price point of $22.99, which is about average for a two-piece golf ball, to be honest with you. It's not super expensive like $24.99 or heck, even $29.99 or heck, even $37.99, which I've now seen from two-piece golf balls. It's gotten pretty crazy over the last year, but this one does come at $22.99, which is a good price point. It's not great. There are still some that are about $1 a golf ball. There's still some that are $17 a dozen, things like that. So $22 a dozen would definitely be average for something if it performs. So not bad. We'll definitely test to see if that price point brings you enough value. All right, so let's go ahead and go out to the chipping and putting green. Let's see how the golf ball does out there. All right, so normally I would take you out to the putting green here. Unfortunately, right now we are just getting into our rainy season here in Florida, so it's thundering and lightning and raining outside, so I can't do that. So I'll just give you the gist. As far as checkup, it checks up like you expect it to. There's not a lot of spin here. I will say it kind of acts like it's going to, but then there's a pretty hard, firm release that goes. But it is a straight release, which is really good. So if you're someone who's newer to the game or you have trouble with sometimes your ball jumping on the green, if you ever do like a little chip off the green and you notice your ball just kind of jump one way or the other, it might be because you have the face too closed or open. You're not going to get that with this. There's not enough side spin. There's not enough backspin. It has a very firm, straight release. I was able to get the ball very close to the hole, if not in the hole, pretty much almost every single time. So there's a lot of forgiveness there, especially for newcomers. But if you do need that spin, if you do need that checkup to get the ball to stop on a dime, it ain't going to be here, unfortunately. But the golf ball does feel really good, nice and soft. Comes off a little higher than a lot of other golf balls do. A lot of the time with the wedge, I get kind of a mid-ball flight, just chipping off the green. This one seemed to really pop up in the air, and that's also probably why the release was a little bit more firm too. So it actually had a little bit of height, which means that if I need to necessarily maybe use a flop wedge, I don't have to. I can actually use my 54-degree sand wedge, and I can get kind of the same height that I normally would with a different ball with my 60. So not bad. I actually kind of enjoyed that. Putter felt phenomenal as well. Srixon, does a great job with their feel around the greens, and honestly, it feels really soft, really squishy. There's a lot of bouncy ball effect here, so it isn't going to take much to get the golf ball to travel a long way, and with that comes, of course, forgiveness, one of my favorite things in a golf ball, and it has a lot of forgiveness there. You can hit it off the toe, you can hit it off the inside, and what I like is it actually does offer a little bit of forgiveness. A lot of the time when you get these really soft, squishy golf balls, they don't offer that feedback. You hit it off the toe, and you can't really tell because it's so squishy that it just bounces off like it would normally. Not the case here. You do feel a little bit in your hands, so you know, but you don't lose any distance. So I was still able to get it to go in the hole multiple times despite hitting it off the heel, the toe, hitting down on a little bit too much, maybe catching it on the the underneath side, coming up a little too early. So overall, really good around the green. I didn't expect any less from Srixon. They always do really well around the green, just like a lot of the big names do. They spend a lot of money and marketing in that, and so it shows here once again, even with the soft two-piece golf ball. All right, so a soft feel around the greens, and honestly that translates right into the clubs. Very soft hitting it into the net as well, pretty much across the board with all clubs. It doesn't change depending on the club you have. It's a very, very soft type of golf ball. So even with my 9-iron, I was actually compressing it really, really well. So honestly, it makes sense. It's a soft golf ball. It says soft feel, and it actually does that, so that's cool. You would think, yeah, soft feel, it's supposed to be that way, but you'd be surprised how many times I review a golf ball and it says soft feel, and then it feels like a rock, which is not soft feel, but hey, that's the whole marketing. They're trying to get you to buy it. They want you to think it's soft. So I guess soft is kind of relative. Overall though, let's get into these numbers now and let's see how the numbers did. Let's dive right in. All right, getting into the 9-iron, we have a 90.3 on your ball mile per hour speed with the 9-iron, 125 on your distance, 118 on your carry, and a very, very high launch, 27.5 with the 9-iron. So that's probably why I lost a little bit of distance. But overall, those numbers aren't bad. They're right in line with average. They're just a little bit less. What's really interesting, though, is the 27.5. That's a really high launch, and it was really consistent, too. A lot of the time I'll get, if I get a ball that launches high, sometimes it'll go like 30, 31, and then it'll go 22. Just depends on how close the face I have it. Not this one. Every shot across the board was pretty much 27 or 28, and that's why it averaged out to that. So it was very consistent, I'll give it that, but that's definitely a high launch, and it caused me to maybe lose a yard or two, but losing a yard or two isn't the end of the world. Let's go into the 7-iron. As you can see, 6,152 on your spin. That's a little less than my average. It's not bad per se. It's going to still stick the green, but just not as well as I would like it to. The fact that it doesn't feel super plasticky also makes me believe that it's going to stick a green a little bit better also. But 108.5 on your ball mile per hour speed. That is really good, really fast. 165 on the distance. Holy cow, that is an amazing distance. That is 5 yards more than my average, and 153.9 on the carry. That is 5 yards more than my average there, and 17.8. So this actually is launching really low. So it's a complete swap there. Went from launching really high with the 9-iron to now it's launching low, and that is a lot of ball speed and a lot of distance, which is kind of interesting because that makes me believe that it is a little firmer on the compression, just because with the 9-iron I wasn't compressing it as much. Maybe there's a couple mishits in there, but in reality that's such a drastic difference between the 7-iron and the 9-iron. It makes me wonder if maybe I just wasn't compressing it. Let's go into the 5 hybrid and let's see if that number continues. 3,943 on your 5-iron spin. So that's just a tiny, tiny little bit less than average, but not by much. 120 on the ball mile per hour speed. That is insane, out of this world. Most likely one of the highest I've ever tested. I can't ever remember averaging 120 miles per hour with a hybrid. Give me 1 second. I'm going to look real quick because that just seems really insane. Okay, I did it one time. Yeah, it looks like one time I did it. Other than that, that's really, really high. So this golf ball is compressing really well. 200 yards on the total distance, which is amazing. That's super far. 186.8, and then a 14 launch. So it actually launched with my average, so it has an average launch, which is really great. I wish it had had a little bit more spin, but other than that though, if you're looking for distance, holy cow. With the average swing speed, this golf ball is going to go a long way. I would actually have to probably slow my swing down a little bit with the hybrid, because otherwise I'd be just going over the green and probably stay on about 10, 15 yards past it. So having to slow your swing down is not a bad thing. It definitely makes it a little bit easier, but those are phenomenal numbers. Let's see how the driver does. All right, 2,731 on your driver. That's perfectly in line with average on my spin. 241 on the distance, slightly below average. 132.2, that is below average on the ball speed. 219.8 on, that's slightly below average. And then 14.7 is a mid ball flight. So it looks like I'm now probably over compressing it just a little bit, which it's common with these golf balls. A lot of the time when I get to a driver on a two-piece golf ball like this, I get average numbers, which average isn't bad. I'm perfectly fine with average as long as I'm not losing 5-10 yards. That's where it really gets you know, I don't know if it's worth the trade-off. But overall, still, those are really decent numbers. They're not anything to make me not use the golf ball. But the fact that the 9 was just okay, and then I had 2 amazing, and then I had 1 okay. I talk about this on the channel a lot with golf balls. I don't like them to be inconsistent. I want them to be kind of consistent across the board. And having, you know, your 9-iron and your wedges be okay, and then having 2 clubs be just out of this world phenomenal, and then having your driver be okay, it makes me wonder, like, how would my 4 hybrid do? How would, you know, how would a 3 hybrid do? How would an 8-iron do? You know, it kind of makes me wonder how those would be. I'd have to test them a little bit separately. Overall, though, I do really enjoy the feel, and I will say that the forgiveness on this golf ball was pretty nice. Miss hits definitely went the same distance. I mean, and obviously you can tell because I'm not that good to stripe my hybrid 120 mile per hour every single time. I mean, that's well above my average. That means that even on miss hits, it was still forgiving me quite a bit. So forgiveness is very high. I have to give it a lot of credit there. Let's get into durability before I give you my closing thoughts. Durability-wise, the golf ball's in pretty decent shape. After about 40, 50 hits, it's good. I wouldn't say it's great by any means. I've tested a couple golf balls recently that have just been phenomenal, but this one's definitely not phenomenal. It's good, though. It's definitely going to get you through a whole round. I would say once you get to a whole round, you're probably done. I mean, you could use it after that, but you might get a little bit of variable flight at that point. And I mean, it might actually start to affect your game a little bit, especially putting and the rolling and things like that. It could possibly affect your game in those ways. So I would definitely trash it after a round for sure. But still, $22.99, 23 bucks a dozen, not bad, not a bad price for that golf ball, especially with that type of durability. If you can squeeze a golf ball around, but let's be honest, most of us are probably losing 2 or 3 around anyway. All right, so closing thoughts. So listen, there's a lot about this golf ball I really do like. It has amazing forgiveness. It's from a company I really trust. And overall, the numbers were pretty decent. Now, it didn't blow me away. I was really hoping with all the people who had, you know, recommended this golf ball, I was hoping these numbers would really blow me away and it would be one of my top 3, top 5. I don't know if it's there. Now, is it a bad golf ball? No, not at all. I would absolutely use this golf ball on the course. I would absolutely play it. I would game it. It's got everything, all the basics I'm looking for, but it just doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles that's nice to add on. Once you've tested as many golf balls as I had, you've seen a lot of the other designs, you know, companies are doing, and you've seen a little bit more consistent numbers, and you find you really narrowed down what type of golf ball you like. And although this one is good, I just put it in the good category. It's not great, it's not phenomenal, but overall, if someone came to me and wanted a recommendation, would I recommend it? Sure, absolutely. It's definitely worth a try. I would definitely recommend it for mid swing speeds, slow swing speeds as well. I would say anything under 85, maybe not, but as long as you're 85 to 95, I'd say it probably is the sweet spot for you. You could probably even go up to 100, but that 85 to 95 is probably the sweet spot for this as far as that compression goes. Thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. As always, keep watching to keep saving and keep learning. Until next time.